Hey, what's up, everybody? Real quick here, Bitcoin and XRP. Real quick on the weekly chart here, starting with XRP first. Look at this. We officially had the close above these highs and above these highs. Next up is this high here. I think that's very important to get above. But this was a definite successful week here in XRP, and you can see the current weekly chart is starting to pump up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what makes of it. But what I wanted to tell you is right here on the 2-hour chart. Remember, we were talking about this inverse head and shoulders here, right? And we had the measured move real quick. It was about 71, 72 cents. I'm not going to do it all over again, but basically we had this inverse head and shoulders here. What I wanted to say about that is when you zoom out, let's go to the daily real quick. When you zoom out, we actually have a much larger inverse head and shoulders working here that I forgot to talk about. But if you take a downward resistance line, put it right there, you see what I mean? Let me just put this right here. So there's your left shoulder, here's your head down here, and then here's your right shoulder right there, right? So this is a much bigger inverse head and shoulders. So I forgot to talk about it today, but the measured move of this bad boy, I'm gonna put it about right there up to this downward resistance line. Then I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it right about there, and then I'm gonna drag it over. And there you go, 97, 98 cent target, inverse head and shoulders. I mean, hey, we could easily get it this coming week. It might take a couple weeks. It might take another month or so. But the thing is, obviously it's going to depend on Bitcoin getting that fifth wave. But I think XRP has quite a bit of wiggle room here. And we can see, just peeking at Bitcoin real quick, Bitcoin just had a couple dojis here. You can see we're pulling back. Zooming in here on the 7-minute chart, you can see we're taking a bit of a dump here. So let's talk about Bitcoin for a little bit, since we didn't talk about it really for the last couple days here. So I think, it wouldn't be such a bad thing we get a pull back here. I mean, like I've been saying, we've been going up here since September 6th, and today is what? September 30th. So basically, almost all month we've been going up. So what I would do is I would just draw this trend line here, and I would just wait and see if we can come down and test it. All right, and then from there, I mean, it's a little bit subjective how you draw it, but basically we want to see if that trend line holds. Now, if we break it, that's trend lines are meant to be broken. So let's just get that straight. But if we break it, we want to see some type of ABC, or some type of flagging out type of motion. Now, we could actually come all the way back down to 60,000 back in this middle area to find some support, build a little bit of a base, and then continue higher. That's what I'm thinking here for the price of Bitcoin, unless, of course, this is a small little pit stop and we continue higher. Hey, I'm okay with that too. The big order of business is breaking above this 68.1K area. So, we're probably getting a little bit of exhausted here. So coming back down in an ABC wouldn't be such a bad thing. So let's look at the weekly chart real quick here. By the way, I got XRP part 1, part 2, and part 3 out. Full presentation, macro, small term analysis. So if you want, you can go check that out if you haven't seen it. But looking at the weekly chart here, we had a nice weekly close, and we closed above this close over here from August 19th, which is important. And so we had 3 bullish weeks in a row. So all of those people who said September is going to be a horrible month, well, you know what? September was actually a pretty decent month. But it's still not over, so we'll keep trugging along here, because if so many people thought September is going to be a dumpy month, it was a pumpy month. Everyone thinks October is going to be a pumpy month. Maybe it could be a dumpy month. You just don't know, right? So, and in 1 month is only 4 candles, right? So 4 candles up, we could have 4 candles back down very easily but it needs to be corrective, not impulsive. So as long as we are, just put this line here, I really want to see Bitcoin get back. I mean, it kind of already did get back to the trend line, but if you draw it a little bit more conservative, these wicks here still got a little bit of room in which it can get to. So, but all in all, for me, I want to see a little bit of consolidation in here. So that means probably this coming week will probably be bearish, right? Unless we can get a big breakout. But the thing is, it's all about probabilities. We had 1 solid green week, 2, 3. So, eventually we're going to need to kind of consolidate here and chill out a little bit, kind of go sideways, right? Build a base here, flag out. For example, I'll show you a great example right here. See this? We had our bottom here. We had this move up, and we pulled back. We came back up. We pulled back down, right? We built a base. We flagged out in here, right? So, when we zoom in to the 4-hour and we take everything off the screen real quick, it wouldn't be such a bad thing to come on down, come back up, come back down, kind of go sideways a little bit, and then continue higher. But look at that. If just that little drawing right there gets us to the end of October. So October could be Sidetober. Like everybody says Uptober, right? It could be Sidetober. So, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. It would actually be a good thing, right? So let's pump up here, have an A, B, C, or, a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, right? So something to cool off the oscillator, something to sort of, pull us back a little bit and sort of reset itself. Now you can see some key areas all through here, right? So for example, you got all this in here, right there, you got this here. So we could be heading down somewhere between 60, 62K. So that's what I'm looking for. Now, if we keep breaking out, hey, that's totally fine with me. I'm on board with that. But that's what I'm waiting for. So anyway, let's go back to XRP real quick. That's Bitcoin. Actually, for the price of Theta, same thing, right? I mean, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We had 5 waves up. We could come back down in 3 here. Which means if the market's going to be coming down and flagging out like this after it just broke this high and getting to set up for another high, that means XRP could be doing that as well, going down, right? It's, so, but it's actually a good thing that XRP sort of broken out. That way it can sort of, if it needs to correct, it's going to correct from a higher price as opposed from correcting down here. So I'm kind of glad XRP escaped that range, because we're going to need all the points we can if Bitcoin is going to be flagging out. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, right? And in the 5th wave, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if this is finished, maybe we come up again. It could be an extended 5th. I mean, we can break out a lot, honestly. But here's the thing: if Bitcoin is going to increase its selling pressure, then we can expect a little bit of a flagging out type of behavior, maybe coming back down and back testing this downward resistance line. But we could pump a little bit more. So just throwing it out there. like when I go back to Theta real quick, you know, here's the bullish and the bearish scenario, right? The bearish scenario is, which is really not bearish, but just short-term bearish, is that we have this sort of expanded flat here for an A. Maybe we come up for a B, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. We get a bigger sort of ABC. And now that ABC can turn into a much more complicated or a complex ABC and break out at a later date. But we'll adjust that as we get the data. But obviously, we're looking for some kind of three-way move here if that high is in. If it's not in, then what we have potentially is another hit to the high, which means we have a 1, 2, 3. We have an expanded flat here for 4, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we sort of do that correction, right? So kind of come up here. You can see the trend line here. It's bumping its head up, right? So we could come up somewhere over here, probably around $1.60 or so. And then we can sort of have that correction. But all in all, you know, we're in this channel here, and it's kind of like, you know, we're sort of bottlenecking a little bit. If I flip it upside down, I'll bump that up to the 75-minute chart. You know, it kind of looks like we got a little bit of a bottlenecking going on, which is a good thing, right? Because, you know, we've talked about that a lot, where you sort of do this kind of thing and then you just do that. You go straight down. I'll give you a bunch of great examples. I mean, you guys already know. Here's a recent example with Bitcoin, how we dropped down and we sort of did this bottlenecking stuff, and then bam, we hit the low. Another example is kind of right here, where we drop down, right? We're bottlenecking, and then we hit the low, right? Another example is right here. You can see that we drop down, bottlenecking, hit the low. Okay, so let's go back to Theta, and let's get it back to what it needs to be. And if we flip it upside down, you can see we dropped in, right? We're sort of bottlenecking. Maybe we come and hit the low, but it's really upside down. So when I flip it back right side up, I mean, that's the move. And when I zoom out on that move, that's a big break above its inverse head and shoulders. We can't forget about Theta's inverse head and shoulders, which, by the way, has already broken out, right? And we talked about the measured move being approximately in that, you know, that $2 area. Let's see, let me look left over here. Between 190. So that's between 190 and $2. So that's sort of the next target here for Theta. But again, don't discount Bitcoin going sideways, pulling back, you know, taking a little bit of a breather, just, you know, consolidating a little bit before the next move higher. If we, you know, we could, you know, look at the end of the year as a very bullish thing, because that's typically when crypto is bullish. That's its bullish time. So I think we're gonna get a very spectacular Q4. So we're just gonna have to sit tight here, because really the main idea that I see for the price of Theta and for the price of all the other altcoins that made, right, this, you know, first of all, we broke above our downward resistance line, but second of all, this is a completed crashing structure. Third of all, we came back to backtest this breakout area. Fourth of all, we're holding it. Fifth of all, right, we want to get back here. That's the target, is back in the retracement levels, you know, between $2 and $3, somewhere in that area. And then from there, we'll reevaluate and we'll analyze the wave structure on the way up in the retracement, and then kind of get a better gauge of what the next move is. So when I look at something like Matic, I see an impulse down with a three-way pullback. So this thing might not be finished. It might have another hit to the low because it's already pretty bad. But then again, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But that move's pretty steep. So I'm actually eyeballing Matic here to see if we can build a base and hold support down here, and then eventually move on up. But do I think a pullback is warranted? I do. For example, if we look at QNT, I'm looking at this as an A, a B, and now let's come down and get C. If QNT did something like this, that would be very bullish. That's a flat right there. It could be a running flat, a regular flat, and then we continue higher. So A, B, C. That's what I want to see. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards having this pullback here. Same thing with fetch. You can kind of see a little bit of a rounded top here. Maybe we come back down and we retest this cup and handle over here. So let's see, ICP. I mean, this looks like a 1, 2, or an ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks kind of like an ABC. So we have 3 up, 3 down, or that's actually 5, but I would say A, B, or W, X, Y. Yeah, and we're right in the retracement levels, right? We came up in 3 waves. We're right in the retracement levels. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come down, we go sideways, then go up. Something like that. Which could mean some, but some charts look a little bit different. So let me go back to just kind of skimming along here. Let me go back to XRP now. Yeah, so if XRP had to deal with the same pullback, I mean, we could see maybe 60 cents at the mid range, and then maybe 59 cents at the low range. So we have a little bit of wiggle room now to work with, right? Where we don't feel so on edge because it's so, it's a lot lower of a price. So now we have a little bit more wiggle room to work with above these resistance areas. So we'll see how they react if we get that correction. But anyway, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Remember, it's not financial advice. I could be wrong. Always know that. And yeah, I will catch you guys, and we'll come back here tomorrow and see what the story is. So anyways, cheers.